Good morning. It's Saturday, January 27th, 2024, and this is the Wall Street Weekly Wrap Up with your host, John Nyquist. A lot of stuff happened this week with a lot of news in different areas, so let's get into it. First off, we got the United Airlines coming out with the effect of their earnings. Good earnings, actually. The revenues went up 10%. Shows travel is still there. People are prioritizing travel over other things like possessions and things like that. They want the experiences, everybody says. Of course, the Boeing fuselage blowout that happened to Alaska Airlines has affected it. They had several planes grounded, so may not be so good. But otherwise, I just watch it. It's a strong demand. They're doing well, and I think the sector is very strong. The HangSeng, this is the best chart I can get with it, but we're talking at the lowest level since 1997. Could you imagine going back to 1997 stock market prices? 30 years almost, of everything disappearing. So that tells you the Chinese economy is not good. Our indicators, silver went up a little bit, gold went up a little bit, and but the issue I think is interesting is palladium. Palladium is used for the catalytic converters for the autos, and when it's at pretty well record low, you kind of can bet that the auto buying and the auto stocking of the catalyst is very low. So I'm not looking at the auto sector probably being so good. If you want to buy the palladium metal, you can always buy it, and it might not be a bad time to buy. But this is an interesting issue. With the catalytic converters. And theory is, more electric vehicles, less catalytic converters. The Nasdaq and S&P, still hanging up positive. But boy, we got to look at the QQQs. I mean, that's the Nasdaq, and we are breaking some records unexpectedly. When we look at the heat map at the last chart, you'll see that it's really the big seven again, except for Tesla. And the Nikkei, again, I remember in 1990 when this thing looked like a ski slope down. I mean, if you drew it out and you averaged it, it was a long ramp down, and it came down for a long time. In 2013, it started coming up, and now we're back to again zero. Eventually, 35 years. That means if you put your money on a mattress 35 years ago, it's worth the same as what you did if they bought the Nikkei back then. Lockheed Martin, the F-35 delay is affecting the price. You can see the drop off on there. It was doing real well, but I look at it. It's profitable. It's growing. They have a record backlog of 160 billion. That's a lot of money. It's $160 billion backlog from all their different systems they make. So I don't think it's the worst issue that we're going to look at. It's a good company. It'll be there. Right now, it might be going sideways a while, but we're going to watch that lower number at the bottom. And of course, TKO, which has got WWE and UFC. Vince McMahon resigned after the close from his scandals and the lawsuit brought up on him. I saw the text, so there's no way he's coming back. And again, it jumped when they put The Rock on the board, and it's on the focus list. But I think the big thing that's coming up is if ESPN Plus has to renegotiate, I think they're going to do well because they got a lot of money for WWE Raw for Netflix, and this is an area that's pretty consistent, good solid earnings, good solid fan base, and it's going to be a stock. I think eventually it'll be a lot better than it is today. Netflix is always one we're looking. I always watch the revenues of it. It's growing 12%, getting slowly into sports, Formula One, tennis. But look at it, it's a good draw. The people are joining it. People are buying the content. It jumped a lot after earnings. So, if you bought this thing when it was in the 200s, you did good. It's a good solid stock. But just like anything, it jumps and moves around on these earning dates. If you go in here, it goes up here to the earnings, almost goes up a couple $100. Here it drops down a few $100, and it goes back up. Boy, you have to have a strong stomach on Netflix. But not a bad result at all. Tesla, boy, what a horrible quarter. Missed on revenues, gross margins are going down, but I looked at it as an auto company. Revenues still rose. If it was negative, we would be out of this stock. That's all we have to remember. It grows revenues, and it's a tough auto market. I think if we just circle this 3.5 and we compare it to a Ford and GM, I don't think they're going to be as high. We'll see what Volkswagen and Toyota do also, but I think it's an issue. Of course, a lot of people are, like, well, I want the days of this. Well, who doesn't? But Tesla's, we're going to look long term. We got a lot of other things that are happening. And Intel is the stock we sold. It was one of our AI plays. And Gelsinger, I go back, 3 months ago, right over here. He's talking about how we're guiding up revenue. The AI chip is just right behind the NVIDIA Grace Hopper chip. And I'm thinking, okay, they're going to do well. No, they lost $4 billion in AI and data revenue. $4 billion. That means nobody's using their chips. I mean, they're going to sell some, but really, the big players, Google, Microsoft, and Meta are making their chips, and Meta already said they're partnering with NVIDIA for the chips. So, maybe Intel's going to be out there as known as a second-rate, third-rate chip supplier and not getting the state-of-the-art. So, I just looked at it. It dropped. And, when you get this drop like this, where's it going to go? Is it not going to go back down to 32? It's going to make money, but it went up 9%. So don't get too faded out. We're out of it, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing come down to the support line. So something we're watching. Microsoft, I just got to put it. It's $3 trillion now, the most valuable company in the world. It's just amazing. We've had this stock for years. We've had this stock since we go right around here. So we've ridden it up, not sold with any of it. That's what you want to do. They always say that if Bill Gates would have held his share, he'd been a trillionaire. But he diversified on advice from one of the best people, Warren Buffett. And so he's $163 billion. It's not bad money, but you can imagine a trillionaire. Next area are utilities. I tell you, the utility stocks are just getting hammered. Nobody wants them. The bond pays 4.5%, and it's a sector that's tough. But the growth rate is that's why we stick with it. Yeah, it went over here. It broke down a little bit, but the earnings are good. They make money. It grows. That's the rare utility. When I go through all these utility earning reports, most of them losing money, lost revenue last year. This is what we want to keep. So yeah, it's going to be bad. It may be in there, but we're diversified in all 11 sectors. So we'll pick. This is our best in that sector. And the election coming up. Ex-President Trump is favored to win the election. And you can look at sports books as a kind of a future, but after the win in New Hampshire, they think he's going to be up against Biden. The polling, early. You got to remember, polls don't mean anything this time of year, but there are a lot of people. The money is showing that it is a good chance. So if we go back, what were the first 2 years like? Which sectors did well? Tech, healthcare. Healthcare, oh my God, if you look at Humana, it got beat up blazes, 10% down yesterday. Energy, well, there's a lot of people thinking that this is going to go up over 100 this 2024. Ooh, that could happen, but we're making a lot of oil and selling a lot of oil, so I don't know. Manufacturing, which is our other areas, should do well. Financials always do well, and so again, I just show the top NASDAQ 100. They're going to do well in that sector. So this is something to think about. We are overweighted on tech, energy, manufacturing, financials anyway, but something to take a look at. And then the heat map for this year, you can see, man, there's not a lot of big greens. NVIDIA is the champ already this year, and Tesla's the opposite side on the tech side. But boy, I'll tell you, if you're diversified, and we are diversified, a lot of reds. And so it's been a tough year, and everybody, is using that safe. So goes January, so goes the year. So this could be the year, and we'll see what would happen. So, one of the things that I've been looking at is what is going to happen with the AI on the phone, and I think there's just so many things. I put it in threads, but we're looking at, biometrics, health data, be able to understand what you want, search, autocomplete, just so many things that's going to be up on your phone. Because I use ChatGPT every day. I know a lot of people beat it up, but I use it a lot, and I like it, and I think it's in future. So we did good this week. It's going to be a long earnings week next week. I mean, we got Microsoft, Apple, Google, Amazon, Meta, Exxon, Novo Nordisk, Merck, Pfizer, wow. Just a chunk of earnings come out next week. So have a good week, stay warm, and I'll see you next week.